We are required to teach slavery, the post-Reconstruction and segregation, civil rights. Those are core parts of American history that should be taught, but it should also be taught accurately. For example, the 1619 Project is a CRT version of history. It's supported by the New York Times. They want to teach our kids that the American Revolution was fought to protect slavery, and that's false. We know why the American Revolution was fought. They wrote pamphlets. We saw them dump tea into the Boston Harbor. We saw them meet in Philadelphia, and we have the records of why they revolted against King George III. And so it was the American Revolution that caused people to question slavery. No one had questioned it before we decided as Americans that we are endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights and that we are all created equal. Then that birthed abolition movements. So you can't teach history that's being used to pursue an ideological agenda. You can't teach that the foundations of our country were somehow evil. Our founders pledged their lives, fortune, sacred honor, and they put a marker in the sand. Not everything lived up to it right away, of course not. But every major movement in our country's history has gone right back to those core principles. So we want to teach history, all history. It's got to be accurate, though. And we are not going to be in a situation where we're taking George Washington's name off schools, taking down statues of Thomas Jefferson. And that's what those people who want CRT want to do.
Oh yeah, that was a colorful rendition of history. And believe me, I am no historian, but I definitely know when someone is missing the mark, and DeSantis has missed it. And of course, in response to that press conference, well, multiple historians have stepped up and they've given a fact check on these fallacies. For example, Professor Karen Wolf, she focuses on the study of 18th century British American history at Brown University, said this: the idea of natural rights didn't originate with the American revolutionaries. They were reflecting ideas that were widespread among political thinkers, perhaps most obviously the 17th century English political philosopher, John Locke. Yeah, that's right. Also, in regards to when the government addressed slavery, Wolf also explained that the United States as a government did not act against slavery in any form until 1807, prohibition of the Atlantic slave trade, and acted in key ways to protect it right up to the Civil War with the Fugitive Slave Act. And as far as about the remarks about questioning slavery, well, Wolf would go on to add this: most egregiously, the idea that no one questioned slavery erases enslaved people themselves who were active in resisting slavery, both as individuals and collectively, and in refusing the logic and legality of their enslavement. Absolutely, there were plenty of enslaved people who questioned slavery, but I'm guessing DeSantis wants to erase them from history because why should he acknowledge the existence of them when they weren't wealthy white men? Seth Rockman, also Brown University associate professor who researches slavery economics, well, he also went and corrected the record on the remarks. He said this: when DeSantis says no one, he pretends that enslaved African and African descended people aren't worth taking seriously as people whose opinions about slavery might matter then or now. The slaves who staged massive revolts in New York, South Carolina, and other mainland colonies throughout the colonial era, were they not questioning slavery? Exactly. It seems like plenty of people were questioning slavery. They're just individuals that DeSantis doesn't want to acknowledge are people. And he doesn't want to today either. We can tell very much by how he lives his life, what he does, and his politics. Jessica.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that he says when we realized that everyone was created equal under the eyes of God, as if that was a realization the moment the founders were drafting our founding documents, when Washington, Madison, and Jefferson were all slave owners. When they wrote all men are created equal, they meant precisely white male landowners. They were not talking about women. They were not talking about people of color. They were certainly not talking about what black people are talking about slaves. And DeSantis is the same kind of person who believes that people who are black are less than human because, as these professors have pointed out who understand history, there were people who were vehemently against slavery from the moment they were kidnapped from Africa. It's clear as day. And this analysis that we cannot judge history with present day morals is insane. Because there were people who were alive then, people who were taken as slaves, who absolutely understood how disgusting and wrong this was. Not to mention, there were people like like John Brown who are fighting as well. And it's a crisis what DeSantis is doing with public education in Florida, because by fighting critical race theory, he's truly fighting a teaching of accurate history. So that's disgusting and that's insane. Because when you have someone like DeSantis who's saying, instead of having teachers being in schools, people who have gotten their certification, who understand how to communicate ideas to young people and ensure that they learn things and hold a classroom, there's a new piece of legislation in Florida that's going to allow ex-military officials without the same training to become teachers in these schools. What kind of teaching do you think they're going to be doing? The same kind of teaching that's aligned with exactly how he's governing in his speeches here.
Exactly, the ignorant truth that they want, the lies that they want in order to manipulate how people will remember others, as well as how they will reflect on the obstacles that are placed in front of people that still are a legacy of slavery.